Are we on, son? You're supposed to say, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway. Okay, they say we're on here for this edition of the Native News Update on this Thursday, October 15th. Dreary and rainy and a little bit of sleet here in northern Wisconsin on the Lakudere Ojibwe Reservation where we do this news report from. So we hope the sun is treating you better in other parts of the world. I'm your host for today's program, Paul Demain. Many of the stories viewed here, read here, can also be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com. Here are the news stories from the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. The Arizona owners of a resort where two people were overcome in a sweat lodge and later passed away are asking for prayers in hopes that something positive will come out of what they say was a tragic and unexpected accident. Angel Valley Retreat Center owners Michael and Anne-Marie Hamilton said in a recent statement that a prayer ceremony has been conducted at the Sweat Lodge site for the victims and their friends and families. 19 other people were treated for symptoms ranging from dehydration to kidney failure. The Hamiltons had rented the facility just outside of Sedona to self-help expert James Arthur Ray for his 5-day spiritual warrior retreat. Up to 64 people attending the program were crowded into the Sweat Lodge during a 2-hour period last Thursday night. The Ovapi Sheriff's Office is investigating now the 2 deaths to determine if criminal negligence played a role in the deaths or an illness of some kind. Tests for contaminants have been ruled out so far, carbon monoxide poisoning as a cause. Officials say the Sweat Lodge, built specifically for the 5-day retreat, lacked the necessary building permit. A federal judge in Madison, Wisconsin has sentenced 3 more people in an investigation into crack cocaine sales on the St. Croix Chippewa tribal lands of northern Wisconsin. U.S. District Judge James Moody sentenced Diana Martin, 44 to 9 years, Margaret Cobb, 28 to 13 years, and Andrew Sunenberg, 26 of Red Lake, Minnesota, to 17 years and 6 months. Prosecutors say they each had a role in distributing drugs between January 2001 and September 2008. 8 other people have been sentenced in the multi-agency investigation. Reporting steep declines in revenues and profits, Mohegan Sun's operator announced this week it intends to restructure nearly $200 million worth of debt. In a statement by the Mohegan Tribal Gaming Authority, they released their preliminary operating results for the fiscal year ending September 30th, reporting that its net income or profit for its 2009 fiscal year, running from October 1st, 2008 to September 30th, 2009, is expected to range between $115 million and $120 million, a decline of between 20 and 23% over fiscal year 2008. The figures are just the latest evidence of the recession's impact on gambling and gaming. Plummeting revenues have taken an even greater toll on the Mohegan Sun's neighboring competition, Foxwood Resort Casino, which is currently trying to renegotiate with lenders as it seeks to restructure a debt of more than $2 billion. The Mohegan Authority is expected to finalize its quarterly and year-end results and conduct a conference call with its investors and the industry analysts during November. The Canadian developer of a planned uranium mine in southwest South Dakota can move ahead with its request for a federal permit, one of 4 needed to operate the site. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission informed PowerTex Uranium Corp that its application for a detailed technical environmental review has been accepted for the Dewey Burdock project near Edgemont, South Dakota. The company is currently operating under a state permit to drill exploratory holes. It withdrew the federal application in June so it could be fixed of several deficiencies that would have led to the proposal being rejected. PowerTech also needs a permit from the Environmental Protection Agency and 2 from the South Dakota Department of Environment and Natural Resources. PowerTech wants to inject chemically treated water into holes to dissolve the uranium, then pump out the solution and collect the uranium for processing. Company representatives say the process, called in situ leach mining, is safe and does not cause contamination. But some environmental groups and American Indian tribes and activists opposed the project for fear it would harm underground aquifers and disturb sacred sites and burials. The land is about 60 miles from the Pine Ridge Reservation and lies on the southern edge of the Black Hills, which many Native people consider sacred. And Tucker laughs when she says her double-wide trailer in this rural area of North Walton County, Florida, puts her in the upper middle class. She comes close to crying when she talks about the rest of her tribe. We deserve to win. We may not, but we deserve to, Tucker said recently in the cluttered council house of the Muskogee Nation of Florida, a tribe of Eastern Creek Indians who say their ancestors were forced to leave home and settle there in Florida 150 years ago. I may fail, but I'm going to go down fighting, she said. Tucker is fighting for the federal government to recognize her tribe. Her last victory was in the year 2007 when U.S. Senators Bill Nelson and Mel Martinez introduced the Muskogee Nation of Florida Federal Recognition Act. The bill, a giant leap after a series of baby steps, remains under consideration in the Committee on Indian Affairs. The tribe has been asking for recognition since 1947, when Tucker's great-grandfather wrote to the Bureau of Indian Affairs asking for compensation for lands taken from them in 1814. The fire chief of Aniak, Alaska, isn't one to wait around for his own funeral. When he found out he didn't have long to live, he held a goodbye bash. Hundreds of people attended the bash for Pete Brown at the high school last weekend. Aniak has a population of just under 500 people. My father, he doesn't want folks dwelling over his passing, Brown's son Jeremiah said. He'd rather be able to see everybody he knows. Brown started a volunteer fire rescue squad called the Dragon Slayers in the village years ago. Most of the squad was made up of high school girls. In the process, he saved lives up and down the Kuskokwim River and trained 2 decades of teenagers to do the same. Brown is 64 years old and has terminal cancer. He decided to refuse treatment, saying that would only extend his life a short time at most. Wings of America will conduct 3 regional qualifying races in the Northern Plains, Southern Plains, and Southwest area here during November. The top 3 men and women from each of the regional qualifying races will receive an automatic spot to race at the Wings National Qualifying Race to be held in Albuquerque, New Mexico on December 19th. The individuals placing 4th through 10th place will receive an invitation to race at the National Qualifying Race. More information regarding the funding for those eligible to compete at the National Qualifying in Albuquerque is being reviewed. Top 6 men and women at the National Qualifying Race will receive an all-expense-paid trip to the USA Cross Country Championships to be held February 11th through 14th, 2010 in Spokane, Washington. Those dates are November 7th in Mission, South Dakota, November 7th at the Riverside Indian School in Anadarko, Oklahoma, and November 28th in Albuquerque, New Mexico for those qualifying races. Wings of America is an American Indian youth program operated by the Earth Circle Foundation, a nonprofit corporation based in Santa Fe, New Mexico. You can get complete USAXC information regarding these qualifying races at www.usatf.org. And that is the latest roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to thank you all for joining with us again. Thank you very much. Come again soon. Miigwech.